So, what's the most chaotic system in new media? What is it that most typifies new media? It's the iconic, single most feature of new media, period. Sounds like the internet. If you look at a picture of the internet at any point in its development, from the beginning to the end, you see these almost Mandelbrot images of chaotic systems in place. It is a decentralized system that is not controlled by any single feature, but when you change one piece of it, it ripples. There are so many features of, for example, the internet that are explained, or at least can be predicted by, can be discussed with regard to chaotic systems. If you're interested, I'll send you a paper. There's nothing I can do with it here, but I have a 40-page paper entitled "The Internet as a Chaotic System," done by a PhD student as a dissertation. That's pretty interesting stuff. This way of thinking about how digital systems work and how network systems work helps explain a little bit why, for example, Wikipedia does and doesn't work. It is why collective intelligence does and doesn't work, which is another new media phenomenon, whether you find it in your social networks or informational networks. Here you have this piece that's open in some ways. There's a little bit of a history of it in terms of who they've allowed to edit it and how much, but for the most part it's open. Authority doesn't rule, numbers rule, and you go there and you find some things that are accurate and some things that aren't accurate. Some things that are accurate get self-corrected by the crowd. Some things that aren't accurate actually have been put there by the crowd. Another one is Google or any other search engine and the algorithms that they use. Google's system is purposeful. It is programmed. It's designed, and yet it produces these totally deterministic but absolutely chaotic results. It doesn't happen if the algorithm isn't set that way today, and yet it propagates out such that it's at the same time deterministic and unpredictable. And so, if you don't believe me, just try to make absolutely sure that your website's going to show 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 without buying on, right? But of course, the fact that you can buy on changes everything. So it is one way, chaos theory, one way of looking at and thinking about and talking about the kinds of phenomenon that we see in new media. It doesn't account for everything. It does play into oscillation, as you can imagine. If you take one of those Mandelbrot images of chaos, it depends on the level of resolution that you see it, what you see. If you take the picture, in fact, you might be looking, for instance, at the satellite imagery coming from the oil spill these days, just because it's in the news. You might be noticing that when you see that, the coastline has a particular design. Over time, that thing has a very particular coastlines. Coastlines have a very particular sort of rhythm. They sculpt themselves in very kind of predictable sort of ways, but of course if you're standing on the beach watching the waves come in, it's totally chaotic. Has no sense, makes no sense at all. A lot of systems work that way. So chaos theory is one way of talking about it. There are a couple of others that we're going to look at. Let me make